So with BlizzCon happening today, I thought I'd jump back into Overwatch and queue up a game.
Oh, so you have like 3 hours.
Yeah, I have a couple hours. Let's build something.
Okay, cool.
Hi, I'm David.
And I'm James.
Today we're going to be making concrete coasters.
This isn't something we've done before, so let's just jump right in.
The first step is to design our positive. This will be what the actual coaster looks like in the end, and will be what we make the mold around. We're going to be using both 3D printing and silicone molds. I ended up using Fusion 360 and 3D printing our positives, but really you can make these out of anything. Foam, wood, whatever. Really the goal here is to make a positive that we can build a mold around.
We went through a couple of revisions to get it to the right shape and size that we wanted, and the right thickness.
Take the time in the beginning when you're making your positive to really nail down your shape and your feel, because once we cast it in silicone and pour the concrete, you're not really going to be able to make much changes.
We designed it in multiple pieces so that we can get to the smaller, hard to reach areas when sanding.
As always, we have a full list of supplies we use in the description. As James mentioned, we designed this so that we can sand everything separate and then glue it together to get the smoothest finish. Again, the goal with the mold is to make everything perfect so all your replications come out just as nice. Along with the final design, we also created this blue piece here. This is going to serve as a mold jacket to keep all the silicone in place.
We added a small ridge to the jacket to keep the positive centered. We'll have a link to these files so you can print your own.
Okay, let's get sanding. And of course, we don't have to sand anything that is going to be covered up by parts we're gluing on later. All the pieces are sanded, so we're going to give everything a nice thick coat of primer. We're going to prime our parts separately and then glue them together later.
We're working on a spray booth. We'll have painting footage later.
Before we get everything glued together, we're just going to give everything a nice light buffing with some 1000 grit. You could do this with steel wool as well. And we're just gluing that down with a little bit of CA glue.
All these pieces just kind of snap into place pretty easily.
Because I designed them well.
I mean, I guess.
Now that everything's glued together, we'll give that another coat of primer. And then we'll glue it into the mold jacket.
Make sure it's fully pressed down so no silicone gets underneath it.
Then we're going to give everything a gloss clear coat. This will help the silicone release later on. And make sure everything's nice and smooth. So, onto the silicone. This is something I have never done. So we did a little bit of research and we found out that this Umu 30 is the best option for those of us who maybe don't have that much experience doing this.
Hey, that's us.
But what's really nice about this is that it takes 6 hours to cure, so that actually gives it a lot of time for all of the bubbles to release, so you get a nice clean mold. It's nice because you don't need a degassing chamber or a pressure pot or really any specialized tools. You just have to put this in a nice warm place to let it cure for 6 hours.
It's also just a 2-part silicone mix. It's easy to mix together. It's just 50-50. It also has the best name.
Ooh, moo. So let's get mixing. So we need equal parts A and B. Then we're going to mix it together in this orange cup. Once that's mixed together, we're going to pour it into a new cup, and we'll pour it into the mold, because you don't want to scrape the edges once you have it mixed together. As James mentioned, this is just equal parts by volume, so we're just going to be using the lines on these solo cups. This product only has a 30-minute pot life. That means the second we start mixing, we have to get this thing poured, and it's going to start to set in 30 minutes, which is actually a really long time and makes it really nice for us beginners. What's also really nice about this product is both parts are very different colors, makes it really easy to keep them apart, and also really easy to tell when they're mixed together.
Everything looks delicious, but don't lick it.
Then you just mix both these parts so it has a consistent purple color. We also learned it's very important to stir from top to bottom as well as in a circle. This makes sure that everything is mixed and you don't have any unmixed parts. After everything is nice and mixed, we'll pour this into another cup. Make sure you do not scrape the side. This ensures that everything poured into this second cup is completely mixed together and you don't have any weird unmixed parts.
As you can see, David is pouring from pretty high up, and as a thin stream, this helps keep bubbles out of the mold and helps fill in all those little details.
And it looks cool.
Yeah, it does. You can already see some of the bubbles starting to come to the surface.
We're going to stash this in a warm spot for the next 6 hours, make sure everything cures nice and properly. Now that everything's all cured, it's time to demold.
Separate it from the edges and then you can just start peeling it back.
Just want to make sure you take your time here so that none of the details are ruined. It is very satisfying once it starts to release.
The smaller bits here won't matter when we pour the concrete in, and we're going for a little bit of a rougher look anyway.
Now all we need is our concrete. Okay, I know we've been saying concrete the whole time, but technically this is cement. They are different. Whatever. It's gray rock that you can pour.
We're using this quick setting cement so that we can make a lot of copies quickly. You do not want to breathe this stuff in, so make sure you're wearing a mask. It'll be surprising the amount of cement that you need to use for this, but we're going to mix the cement with water until we have the consistency of oatmeal. If you think you don't have enough, just keep adding more dry and water until you have the amount you need. Cement's pretty cheap, so feel free to experiment with this. Once you have the mix, you can add it to the mold. Make sure to press it into all the details. It's okay to overfill it at this stage. You're going to want to vibrate it to get any of the bubbles out. We're using our orbital sander without a pad on it to do this. Or you could simply just tap it. We're using a metal ruler to level the top. Give this about an hour to dry before demolding. Then leave it to cure for at least a day. Again, we were going for more of a rough look. If you want a smoother look, you can make it more liquid to eliminate more of the bubbles.
While those are finishing up curing, we're just going to make some little foam pads to put on the bottom to keep our surfaces nice and protected. Just kidding, don't waste your foam. And we're just going to glue these on using a little CA glue. We found the gel glue works really well in bonding with the irregular surface of the cement. I've been wanting to mess around with silicone mold and just mold making in general for a while now, so I'm really glad that we were able to sort of dip our toes in this in a relatively simple project.
Yeah, this project was surprisingly easy.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, we have this mold too, so we can just keep making these. And honestly, I actually like the more distressed looking concrete ones as well as the really perfect ones. Like, they both look really nice.
Yeah, they all came out a little different, but I agree.
One thing, if anybody knows and could let us know in the comments below, we have no idea why some of the coasters came out lighter and darker. These have all been cured for plenty of time, but they're just clearly different colors. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram for behind the scene photos and sneak peeks at our upcoming projects.
You can really do any design for this. Like, even if you wanted, you could just make simple circles.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of potential in this, and I can confidently say this is not going to be our last mold making project.
The idea of replicating something that we spent a lot of time on is pretty cool.
Definitely. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell to stay up to date on all of our upcoming videos.
We've got a build from Magic the Gathering coming up, and another Zelda project that we've been really excited about. Oh, I think your match must be ready by now.
So soon!